I've done a lot of unnecessary food challenges this year, and I'd like to work some of it off. And what's the best way to do that? With discipline and good habits. But I have neither, so I'm going to run a marathon instead. The only problem is the Cleveland Marathon is in a month, and I don't want to wait that long. I'm an impatient millennial. So today I'm going to be attempting a marathon without training because I am a fucking idiot. My goal today is to finish first and foremost, and then to finish the 26.2 miles in under 5 hours. And my third goal is to be alive after today. That's important too. And the very first thing I did when I woke up was take Imodium. And if you don't know what Imodium is, it basically prevents you from taking dumps. Yeah, it's not even basically. You just can't shit. And as somebody that has destroyed a toilet or two in his time, I couldn't afford any wasted time in today's unnecessary challenge where I made all the parameters and decided all the rules. I drove down to the course I'd be running on today. I'm going to be running 2 miles one way and 2 miles back so that every 4 miles or so I can come back to my truck and replenish and hydrate. With long distance running, it's important you consume approximately 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates an hour. I was told because I don't know that. So I bought a bunch of energy chews and Gatorade bars alongside some Gatorade and water for hydration. Although I wasn't racing in next month's marathon, the marathon committee was nice enough to give me my own number. What are the odds that it's my favorite number and it's also in my handwriting? I then went to go milk my kidney because I forgot. Milk my kidney. That's a funny one. I then went to go take a piss because I forgot Imodium doesn't block that side of your digestive system. And I was ready to run and ruin my plans for the next week. And before I start, I know I say this in every video, please do not try this at home. I am a professional dumbass, but I'm very serious here. Do not attempt to run a marathon without training. And if you do, don't blame it on me because I told you not to. I started running my first marathon and there was no turning back, even though I could literally do that at any point. Normally when I do 5-mile runs once or twice a week, my pace is around 7 minutes and 45 seconds. So I'm gonna take it slow today. Try to do like 9 to 10 minute miles, which I was able to do with ease in my first mile. That's good. I'm unfortunately only 3% of the way in. However, on my second mile, I began to realize the closed course I made up with literally zero research beforehand was about to run out on the old Coast Guard station. And if I were to keep going, I would have ran right into Lake Erie. And I'm not an NPC, I'm slightly smarter than that. So I ran in circles instead until I got to 2 miles. And then I ran those circles in reverse and then went back on my way. Let's see how this matches up. Can I get to 4 miles exactly when I get to that truck? Yeah, close enough. I ran the first 4 miles in 37 minutes and 24 seconds, which is an average mile pace of 9 minutes and 21 seconds. So I was crushing it to start here, but I can't count my chickens before they hatch because this is literally a marathon and not a sprint. I've always wanted to say that. Going into miles 5 through 8, I wanted to be more efficient, so I designed a route instead going the opposite way on the track to start, looping me back to my normal course where I'd then be able to run 2 miles without having to go in circles or jump in Lake Erie. Physically, a marathon without training is very, very challenging, but I've been told the mental side of things is even harder. My strategy for getting myself through this marathon was to distract myself in any way possible. Normally on shorter runs, I listen to hype up music, but there's nothing hype about running a marathon. So I actually listened to a bunch of reggae and chill acoustic music instead. I'm currently listening to Banana Pancakes by Jack Johnson. And I could go for some banana pancakes right now. I'm hungry. Additionally, I was talking to myself a lot on the marathon, which posed as another distraction. However, I'm incredibly awkward in public, and whenever someone saw me doing this, I pretended I was on a conference call on my AirPods. Good, how are you? Yeah, just started. I'll keep you posted. Okay, bye-bye. I'm so awkward. I just ran by somebody and they gave me like a really weird look. And then I looked down and I was like, oh yeah. My time after 8 miles was 1 hour and 16 minutes, which left me at about a 9-minute, 30-second mile pace on average. I was right where I wanted to be, other than, you know, doing the whole marathon thing. I'm 8 miles in, and honestly, I don't feel much worse than when I was 4 miles in. My hips are definitely a little more sore, my feet a little more tender, but in terms of energy, I feel pretty good. To distract myself miles 9 through 12, I thought about my other challenges and started comparing this to the other things I've done. The easiest challenges I do is where I eat one particular thing for a week. I would say the endurance challenges are the hardest. And the hardest thing I've ever done is another marathon. I know I said this is my first marathon running. It's not my first marathon. 2 years ago, I did the Cleveland Marathon, but I walked it in cross-country skis, and I couldn't walk for like 3 days. So that was the hardest. So I feel like if I could walk a marathon in cross-country skis, I could maybe run it. I keep getting looked for my number on my chest, and people are like, oh, he's running. And then they see it's 69,420, and they're like,
Oh, there's no way he's in a marathon. What an idiot.
After 12 miles, my overall time was 1 hour and 42 minutes, and my pace was still right around 9 minutes and 30 seconds per mile. Honestly, at this point, I was feeling pretty sore just about everywhere, and I mean everywhere.
I have like a really annoying rash TMI on like the right side of my.
But given the fact that I'm running a marathon today and I was almost halfway through, I was feeling pretty good mentally about it.
I think I can still do this, but it's gonna be challenging. Shocker, not training for a marathon is challenging.
As I start mile 13, I forgot to mention one thing. I'm pausing my watch between every 4 miles so that I don't add any excess mileage walking back and forth in my truck while refueling. So the pace I'm running at is going to be skewed a little bit. I'll also account for that at the end, adding the time and the breaks. I crossed over 13.1 miles, which is officially a half marathon. And also I just officially broke the longest I've ever run.
The most I've ever run before this is 11 miles because the girl I really liked told me she didn't like me back.
Additionally, one thing I forgot to mention about this course is that it's mostly flat, but there are 2 hills. They're not the steepest hills ever. Like, I'm not trying to say I was climbing Mount Everest, but when you're running a marathon, especially without training, those hills do add up over time. The nice thing about making up this 4-mile course is it allowed me to break up the marathon in my head to 6 segments of 4 miles. And then theoretically, after finishing 24 miles, I could run the final 2.2 miles of the marathon and be smooth sailing. Obviously, it's not going to go that way, but in my head, it made sense. My feet started to become super sore around mile 15.
Gotta keep going though. If I stop, it's gonna make it worse, I think.
It's almost like humans aren't supposed to run marathons. In fact, I think I read somewhere that humans aren't supposed to run at all. I think we're just supposed to walk. But that, I can't do that today. After 16 miles, my time was around 2 hours and 34 minutes, which left my pace at 9 minutes and 37 seconds per mile. So my pace ended up becoming slower, obviously, but it still was under 10 minutes, so I was still cruising. Kinda. I'm running a marathon, so I don't feel great. As I said before on this marathon, I talk to myself a lot. I'm an extrovert by heart. I want to talk to somebody, damn it. Fortunately, my friend Gab needed to get her run in for the day and decided to join me for the next 4 miles. Gab has ran every day for the past 5 months, which is crazy, but definitely way less stupid than what I'm doing right now. I was exhausted around mile 18.
Time to turn around. How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm feeling all right, but my legs are kind of toasted.
But having someone running alongside me really pushed me to finish another 2 miles before my next break. After 20 miles, my time was 3 hours and 17 minutes, which increased my mile pace to 9 minutes and 51 seconds, which is still under 10 minutes. So I was sitting pretty, even though I was standing ugly.
20 miles in.
Yay!
Yeah, I can see why you're supposed to train for one of these.
69,420.
Yep.
However, I didn't realize how much I needed somebody to run alongside me until I hit my 20-mile break. I had heard from Gab and other runners that after mile 18, it will get really, really difficult. And sure enough, at mile 20, I crumbled.
I'm not having a good time. I'm not having a good time.
How do I accurately explain how I feel after running 20 miles without training? I feel like shit. I feel like a big bag of shit on a 90-degree day in the summer. And the bag's been sitting outside for a few days and it's decomposing at this point. That's me, a big bag of hot shit. And unfortunately, I still have 6.2 miles left to run.
I started running again, my quads are tender. This might be a very slow 4 miles here. Holy cow. I also just realized I forgot my headphones, so that's cool.
Every person that has a self-help course that apparently is really rich and doesn't run a Ponzi scheme says that your mind is more powerful than your body. I need my mind to kick in, and I don't have a lot of brain power here sometimes, so the odds are against me here. I could barely run at this point, let alone walk, so my average mile pace was going to severely tank from this point on. This is the first time I had been forced to walk periodically. I had zero capacity to run.
And what's even tougher is every time I stop, it gets harder to keep going again, so I just gotta move as fast as I can.
But like I said, I'm a little bit of a psychopath. And every time I had to walk, I kept running until I couldn't run again. And then I'd walk. And then I would run until I couldn't run anymore. My mind was pushing me more than my body could handle. Even though I was looking like a Scooby-Doo villain while running, I also had a bunch of salt dripping down my face because I was sweating so much.
Salt.
I probably could have made a margarita out of all the salt that was on my face. Just kidding, I'm not a cannibal. I finally got to 24 miles and oh my goodness, I felt like the Pokemon Muck. I love that Pokemon. I really wanted to share that in this video. After 24 miles, call my time Troy Bolton because it was soaring, flying to 4 hours and 7 minutes. And my average pace went from 9 minutes and 51 seconds all the way up to 10 minutes and 17 seconds in the last 4 miles. But at this point, I didn't care when I finished. Sometimes you don't have to finish fast to have a good time. Heck, you can finish slowly too, I've heard.
The strategy here is to replenish Get a big load in me. Pause. 2.2 left. I'm done. I can do it. I can do it. Oh, I hope I do it.
The marathon committee gave me an extra number, which I put under my sweatshirt, but I didn't think about the fact that I sweat on that shirt as well. So it kind of f***ed up that number as well. So that was a lost cause. I then distracted myself with the old parable about the tortoise and the hare in a race. Slow and steady wins the race. So I slowly moved like a tortoise because I literally had no other option. As much as I walked the final 2.2 miles of the marathon,
My balls feels like sandpaper.
I randomly had some energy to run as well. My body knew I was almost done, and somehow I was able to run. I'm telling you, I had no energy. I could barely walk. I had prayed a lot during my marathon that I'd be able to finish it, and it appeared that my prayers were getting answered. However, that's when my Apple Watch decided to kind of be a little bitch and make it a little more challenging on me. At the start of the 25th mile, I only had 5% battery left, and the weirdest part was it wouldn't show me my distance. It only was showing me like segments of my miles. It'd be able to show me whole numbers for running, like mile 25 or mile 26, but it wasn't able to show me 26.2. I would just have to guess at this point, and if I guessed lower than 26.2, I would be seen as an idiot, even though I already am. I channeled my inner Forrest Gump and just kept running. And finally, after pushing myself to limits I've never pushed myself before, besides cross-country skiing a marathon, I ran a marathon without training.
I hope it's over 26.2.
So I stopped my watch to see my fate, checked my time, and it was 26.39 miles. After 26.2 miles, my running time was 4 hours and 40 minutes, meaning I had finished under my objective of 5 hours, right? Well, kind of not really. My breaks totaled up to be about 52 minutes, so my actual time was more around 5 hours and 32 minutes. And I think it worked off some of my stupid eating challenges. In fact, I did the math. I burnt 4,593 calories, which is the equivalent of eating 8 Costco hot dogs. In other words, I can eat whatever the f*** I want tonight.
I know what I like, baby, I like you. This American pie with the high Q. Oh my, I do. Just fly right through. We'll get high as a kite in the afternoon.
Oh.